people actually go in depth and they say, because you are Christians, because you are Catholics, we expect you to know the difference between good and evil. Right? Right? That's basic. Good and evil. So you are faced with two choices. Because Magis is actually an aid or a tool for discernment. And words like discernment, these are Ignatian terms. You hear them a lot when people talk about Ignatian spirituality. But discerning is one of the very important things that as young people we ought to have. And words like Magis are sort of really important tools for discernment. Because the question is not good or evil. The question is you have two good choices. Which one is the greater good? Which one is the better good? In which choice are you doing more for good? We don't even talk about good versus evil. That's really not the conversation. So that's what Magis is. Magis is more, greater, and you know what? Greater glory for the glory of God. So, I don't know. I'd like to ask the ancient ones, the guys who've been in Magis for a while. What do you feel when you hear the word Magis? So you find out with circles. Circles are a very vulnerable place. People talk a lot about what they're feeling. You ask about your feelings a lot. You have to share a lot. So you need to get really comfortable with the concept of sharing, expressing how you are feeling, and that kind of stuff. I just wanna sort of point, Simon, what do you feel? This needs to be like a very short, at the most it's a sentence. At the least it's just a single word. What do you feel when you hear the word Magis?
To me, it's more of a challenge. A challenge to be a better person and closely look at the environment that I'm in and realize my potential and purpose of why God put me there. Because I believe we are all placed strategically to serve our purpose, and that's a challenge that gets knocked into my head by the word Magis.
That is definitely more than one sentence, but it's okay. Magis, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like Simon was saying, it's more like a challenge. Especially when we talk of companionship. You know, I feel like I have to be more. I have to be a person for others. So when each time I hear the word Magis, I feel like I have to be more to others. That's how I feel.
Elijah, what do you feel when you hear the word Magis? It's okay. It's okay.
I feel comfortable, like family.
That's a good feeling to have. IP, how do you feel when you hear the word Magis?
Come on. Well, I feel called to companionship with others for Christ. There's always that aspect that I'm not alone and I'm with others, and hence this movement, the group. Right? Though I might be doing something as an individual, but with others we can do more, and that's the hope that the church has for me.
Zandi?
Now I have to do the work for you.
When I hear the word Magis, I get the feeling of to never arrive, really. Spiritually, I always feel like there's more to do, and I think the statement is to never arrive. Whenever I hear Magis, never arrive. Keep going. There's always more to be done. That's how I feel.
So there are certain keywords that sort of pop out when people talk about Magis, and these are what form the three pillars of Ignatian spirituality. I don't know if anyone is willing to volunteer. If not, I think Zandi.
Okay, the three pillars are spirituality, companionship, and service.
So we've been hearing a lot about companionship and how it's coming out. So the spirituality is basically you having one. You need to have the desire. You need to want it. And I always quote Saint Ignatius says, if you feel like you don't want it, pray for that desire to want it. Tell God, no, I want to want it. I don't want it at this point in time. I don't feel the desire in myself to be more spiritual, but I want to be more spiritual. So pray for that desire. So you have to want it. You have to desire it. And then you have to gain the knowledge. With Ignatian spirituality, there are a lot of terms people will throw around. Like, you heard me asking you guys about circles, about excellence. People will talk about consolations and desolations. People will talk a lot about discernment. So there's a lot of knowledge that you sort of need to gain, and you can gain it slowly. And my desire is that after Panama, you have this fire in your heart to sort of know more about Ignatian spirituality. So it's a very practical and useful form of spirituality, particularly as a young Catholic. So you have to have that desire, you have to have the knowledge, and then that forms the basis. This spirituality, this desire to know God more, to do more for God, then forms the basis for companionship and service. And then the three work synergistically. I hope you guys know what synergistically means. It means they just work together and they feed into each other.
That thing is to grow.
Come club, learn synergy. I'm old. I'm old. Forgive me. It's like these three things can then work hand in hand to enhance your experience of the spirituality. So, what does companionship mean to you? I'll tell you what companionship means to me, and then I hope to hear feedback from you guys. So, when I joined Magis, and I've told this story before, so some of you might have heard it. I had a very vibrant community around me. These were people who supported me. People who would randomly check up on me and say, how's school? I know school is tough. I remember when I was writing my exams, Zimbabwe, lady from Magis, she used to buy me biltong from Food Lovers Market. It's my favorite sort of food. And she used to bring it to my hostel because she knew I was studying and having a very difficult time with my books. So when I finished school and I got posted to Blawai, I had a very difficult time adjusting. And I realized that the thing I craved the most from Magis was the companionship. The people who check up on you, the people who you're traveling with on this journey called life, people who sort of check up on you and say, how are you doing? How are things? How is life? Are you okay? Is everything going well? And I really thirsted for that companionship. I hadn't realized how valuable it was to me until I didn't have it anymore. So that's what Magis meant for me. It actually meant companionship. That's what it means to me even deep down in my heart right now. If you ask me what Magis means to me, it means companionship. To me. But of course there's the general overall definition of doing more and stuff. That's okay for you. But for me it means companionship. So in view of the fact that we are traveling together to Panama, there are people here who know each other. There are people from the same parish. There are people like the three of us who went to the same school.
The Nicholas.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Oh yes. And there are people who have special relationships. Special interests and other things. And projects. Special projects. So there are these ties within us already. The challenge is that these connections that we have that exist may make it difficult for us to form new connections with other people. people whom we are not used to, people whom we do not usually interact with. And that may make us miss out on an opportunity to encounter God in other people because we are so used to our comfort zone. So that's the challenge that the companionships that we have are amongst us existing already. They may in fact inhibit us experiencing Panama to its full potential. But anyway, I want to hear from you guys. What does companionship mean to you?
Okay, to me, it's fellowship, friendship, mutual closeness, comradeship. You know, it starts from believing that there's a God in each and every single person, and by talking to that person, what am I doing for God? So that's companionship to me.
Deep.
It's a special project. That is insightful. It's very, very insightful. This is why I want to hear from you guys. What does companionship mean to you? Let's hear it.
I think complementing each other and completing each other as well. We're all different, different backgrounds, different talents, different skills. Some of us, tinogona kutaura, but I'm not a very good listener. So for me that's good enough. So we complement each other as a group. So someone else can do and fill up the gap.
So companionship means looking out for each other, particularly for people who are in a foreign land. We don't have relatives there. In the end, we become, we look out for each other, we take care of each other, and that's companionship. I want to hear more. Fine. Companionship.
Friendship, getting to know each other better, and giving yourself time to get to understand the next person better, and not only focusing on the negativity.
So all of these guys, they're talking with the realization that there is something of value within each and every individual. Gore referred to it as God in each and every individual. And by recognizing that there's something of value in the next person, and something of value within you as well, it helps you to reach out to that particular person and sort of connect and hear them out. Okay? More people talk about companionship. I think this is the pillar of our session today.
For me, I think it's being fully aware of what's going on in each other's lives. That involves sharing. Because I believe if we share things together, we can help each other. It also involves being open between us so that we can help each other.
Okay. So sharing, being open. I think this side was open, but it's good. Thank you.
To me, it means I am never alone.
Yes.
It means together we can achieve more, stemming from the realization or the acceptance that each and every one of us is useful in one way or the other. No matter how high you can see yourself, the lowest person can contribute something to your life. That's all about companionship.
If you encounter Magis in its structures, at most we have maybe 2 to 3 administrators. It stems from the recognition that everyone is bringing something to the table, something of value, something that adds to our overall experience of God. So we generally just need someone to blame when things go wrong. That's why we have administrators. So that we can say, we didn't do it, it's your fault. But everything else, the reason why we don't have a very rigid structure in terms of sort of we have this and this and this and this and this, and the hierarchy of sorts, and we say we when the administrator comes around. It's simply because based on that recognition that there comes a point in time where your specific talents, which you might not even realize that you have, will be useful towards the needs of the group. And that stems from that concept of companionship. But how did you know job? It's the same thing. It's all telling stories.
Companionship, just like everyone has said, it's seeing yourself through the next person. True companionship is a reflection of yourself. You are seeing your goodness through the other person. You are seeing how blessed you are through the eyes of the other person. You are seeing joy, you are seeing love, and together you grow and become a better person. Because one man band cannot sustain. No man is an island.
Mabaza abuda. Anyura nemuromo.
So that realization, I think that's the strongest gift, or not gift. Gift is the wrong word. But that's the strongest realization that will carry us forth on our pilgrimage as we start our pilgrimage. The realization that we are going together, we're traveling together, and that by virtue of traveling together, each and every single person here has a purpose from place. The thing I want to do is I want to challenge you. I know each and every single person here was sort of talking about how they are not ready for Panama. But I understand. I am not ready either. But I also want to hear from you what you expect from Panama. Bear in mind, you're going for an encounter. And in Ignatian spirituality, you will hear these things: encounters and experiences. You need to have expectations. Of course, expect to be surprised as the first thing. But you also need to say, as I am going, God, this is what I want from you in my experience. This is what I want to encounter. This is what I want to see. And then expect God to surprise you as well and blow your mind with something new and completely different. But it helps to sort of have this hope in your heart to say, I am going to encounter God. I am going to experience companionship with my group and with completely different people from all around the world and from Panama itself. And by virtue of that, I hope to grow my spirituality in this particular way. So that's the challenge I want you guys to carry in the heart. If you are going to go to Panama with India, you can even leave your luggage. I'm joking. Don't leave your luggage. But go with an expectation in your heart. Go with a desire in your heart to experience God, to experience companionship. I don't really want to talk about service because our experiences are service-based. We are going to be serving in communities a lot. So you will experience the service and expect to experience it. But the companionship is important because we will need to look out for each other. We will need to pray for it. And we need to keep an eye on each other. Thank you.
Just to give an example of companionship, last time when we went to Poland, we had one of ours who had a, I don't know, there was a fractured leg or something. She misstepped and she had to get a plaster, on the leg. And so she couldn't walk. And when you are in World Youth Day, the town there, there's no public transport. Everyone walks to events. And you can walk for hours from one end to the other end to go to the main arena. And I was touched that almost everyone, we took turns carrying her, because she could not walk, so we had to decide to leave her home, and she would not attend any of the masses with the Pope, or would literally carry her. And we literally carried her, especially your brother Gore. Kumbereka kudayo. Nine. And that was an experience. And that showed how we were, united as one.
In fact, they actually say, that I remember someone once gave a talk and said, they don't like to think of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, as being founded by one man, St. Ignatius of Loyola. But they sort of like to think of it as a group of friends who sort of came together and said, let's form a society.
That's true.
And the basis of Ignatian spirituality is in companionship itself. So we've talked quite a lot, and I'm really in a hurry to go to the mountain. But I want to open up this time sort of responses from people. So generally when you do a circle, you sort of have something that you want to reflect on. Usually you do it based on these reflections that you have. So you have the reflection, you go through the reflection as a group, then you do, should be 3 rounds. The first round is people just generally speaking on what touched them from the reflection. So everyone talks in a circle, everyone shakes. Then the second round is basically people reflecting on what other people say. You are not correcting people. They say like, you need to be very sure about it. If someone in the first round says, I like being drunk all the time, you can't then in the second round say, being drunk all the time is evil. The Bible says this and this and that. No, that's not the purpose of the circle. The purpose of the circle is to reflect on what people have said. Of course, there is a coordinator who can then sort of pitch in and sort of try to correct people. But it's basically a safe space. You want to encourage people to share as honestly as possible. So if someone shares something that they're struggling with, you want to keep it confidential. You want to keep it within the circle. And when you sort of reflect on it, you don't want to be accusatory or judgmental. And that's what keeps the circle like that. Then the third sort of round is when people just basically talk about how they're feeling at that point in time, based on the reflection. And because we want to cut things short, we're just going to do the third round. We're just going to go through and people are just going to say in a single word, Simon, a single word, how they are feeling at this point in time. We'll start with. Well, I know your name. I was just calling you. I was going to say you're the number first.
That's why I share.
Just a single word, how you're feeling before. Ecstatic, that's what she said. Do a little louder.
Ecstatic.
Challenged. Comfortable. I'm feeling good. Good as well. Happy. Uplifted. Motivated. Excited. Inspired. Motivated. Unsure. Motivated. Optimistic. Motivated. Expectant. Challenged. Enlightened.
Grateful.
Honored.
Sir?
Honored.
Happy.
I feel great.
Great. Thus,
I feel expectant.
expectant. Okay, I also feel expectant. So, I'd like to thank you guys for participating in our. It's okay. I'd like to thank you guys for participating in our circle. I think I don't know if my P or anyone has any other announcements.
Well, nothing. Well, not much. Well, just to give you. Well, I don't think we need to